We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Aleph Amid Aleph and Meseches Menachos. This is Menachos Daf 31a. This daf is sponsored by David and Ariella Grossman. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you would like to sponsor an Amid or a Daf, see the description box below to see how you can support this channel. On the previous summit, the Gemara brought a statement from Rabbi Chanina that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, and the Gemara is trying to identify which particular statement of Rav Shimon Shazuri are we referring to. And then on the previous summit, Rav Papa suggested it's going Asheda in the case of the Sheda, which is the case of the chest. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah Meseches Kalim Hasheda, with regards to a chest, Beis Shammai Omer, Beis Shammai say, Nimdedes mi bifnim, it's measured from the inside. Uveis Hillel Omer, and Beis Hillel say mi bachutz, it's measured from the outside. Umodim elu ve'elu, and they both admit she'ein ove haraglayim va'ove halevazvez in nimdad, that the volume of the legs and the volume of the rims are not measured. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Modim she'ove haraglayim va'ove halevazvez in nimdad. They admit that the volume of the legs and the volumes of the rims are measured, uveinein, but between them, ein nimdad is not measured. And Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Omer, Rabbi Shimon Shazuri says, Im hayu raglayim gevos tefach, if the legs are a tefach high, ein beinei nimdad, then what's between them is not measured. V'im lav, and if not beinei nimdad, then what's between them is measured. And Rashi explains nimdedes mi b'fnim. Again, Beis Shammai say that the sheda is measured from the inside. The Amrinan Hasan, we say over there, keveres hakash, keveres hakanum, uvor svina, alexandris, v'sheda tevu, migdal. These are all various vessels, containers. Shemachzikim mem sa belach, if they're able to contain 40 saw of liquid, shein kurayim biyavish, which is 2 core of dry, yatsu mitoras kli. So at that size, they are so large, they're no longer considered a kli, a vessel, ve'in mekavlin tumah, and they do not receive tumah, they're not mekavl tumah. And so the question is, how do you measure this? And again, hasheda nimdedes mi b'fnim, according to Beis Shammai, you measure from the inside. Imachzik chalola kurayim torah, if the cavity inside is able to hold a kurayim 2 core, so then it's going to be pure, then it is large enough that it's not considered to be a kli. Mi bachutz, and Beis Hillel say you measure from the outside, which essentially means ove hanisarim nimdad ima, that the thickness of the boards also is measured with it. Duro and ilo haya chalol mi b'fnim haya mashlam l'kurayim, we have to envision had it been hollow inside. Again, would that complete the shear of a kurayim? Ove haraglayim, the thickness of the legs, the volume that can be contained within. Haraglayim ovim yoser min hanisarim, the raglayim, the legs are a little thicker. Levazvez misgeres aviv lefiyam, again that's a rim. Uveineim, and the area between them, oso aver shebein haraglayim mitachas, the area, the airspace between the legs at the bottom, ein nimdad is not measured. The law amrin on rowan kilu shalayim yarden at sofer raglayim. We don't say that we envision it as if it goes, the bottom goes all the way down to the bottom of the legs. Tefach makom choshevu, a tefach is considered a significant amount of space. And in any case, the point is that Rav Papa is saying the statement of Rabbi Chanina that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri is going on this statement of Rabbi Shimon Shazuri. And the Gemara continues, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Gomer, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says, ayayin, it's going on the statement of Rav Shimon Shazuri with regards to wine. Ditzanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, this is a Mishnah in Meseches Taharos, Rabbi Meir Omer, Rabbi Meir says, shemen techila liolam, this is talking about with regards to tumah. Shemen, oil, is always considered to be a techila, that means it's always considered to be a rishon latumah. V'chachamim omrim afa dvash, the chachamim say that's true also by honey. Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Omer afa yayin, and Rabbi Shimon Shazuri says that's true even by wine. The Gemara continues and asks, Mechlal the Tanakama savar yayin lo, does that imply that the Tanakama holds wine is not? The whole idea over here is we're trying to classify the shemen or the devash or the yayin, whether they're considered liquids. If they're considered to be liquids, then they're always a tchila, they're always considered a rishon latumah, and it doesn't make sense that Rabbi Shimon Shazuri would say even wine, as if the others disagree. Of course wine is considered to be a liquid, and so the Gemara revises it. Ema rather say as follows, Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Omer yayin, Rabbi Shimon Shazuri says wine. He doesn't say even wine, he says that it only applies to wine. And Rashi explains, shemen tchila liolam, shemen is always a tchila, it's always a rishon. That means bein shenitma bi'av hatumah, whether it becomes tameh by connecting with an av hatumah, or berishon, or b'sheni, or even if it gets the tumah from a rishon or from a sheni, haveihu rishon, it is always a Rishon, the Kaimalon, because we've established Kol HaPosel Es HaTruma Metame Mashkin Lios Tchila V'Shemen Mashke. Essentially, anything that is a mashke is going to be considered a tchila, and the point over here is that shemen oil is considered to be a mashke. Yayin lo, so the Gemara asked, according to the Tanakama, that's not true by wine. Bitmia, that's a question. The yayin mi'iko l'man damar lav mashku. Does anyone say that wine is not a mashke, is not a liquid? Elaima Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Omer yayin. Rather, it's Rabbi Shimon Shazuri says wine velo shemen udvash, and he's saying only wine, not oil and honey. To lo have a mashkin, those are not mashkin. V'yahach kam Rabbi Chanina, and again on that Rabbi Chanina said halacha k'Rebbi Shimon, that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon. And the Gemara continues, Tanya was taught in a brayso. Amar Rabbi Shimon Shazuri. Rabbi Shimon Shazuri says, Pam achas nizarev li tevel b'chulin. One time tevel got mixed with chulin. Uvasi v'sha'alti es Rabbi Tarfon. And I came and I asked Rabbi Tarfon, V'yomar li, and he said to me, Lech kach lecha min hashuk v'isar olav. Go and purchase from the marketplace, and you'll use that to take off meiser. And Rashi explains, Nisarevli Tevel Demai, we're talking here about Tevel, which is Demai. That means it's not clear whether Meiser was taken off, and that kind of Tevel, it got mixed up with Chulin, it got mixed up with Chulin. V'lo yachol lahafresh mimenu, so now it's not possible to separate anymore, Mipnei Chulin hamu'urav and bo, because of the Chulin that's now mixed up. V'yafagav de Demai lo mechayev mido raisa b'Meiser, and even though Demai is not chayev on a do raisa level to take off Meiser, afilu hachi, nevertheless, hoel mechayev midrabanan, since there's an obligation on a drabanan level to take off Meiser, Havale min chulin haptur al tevel hachayev. Now you have a problem of taking off the Meiser from chulin, which is exempt, and you're taking it off on this tevel, which is chayev on a derabonim level. And Rashi continues, Kach min hashuk, take from the marketplace, demai me'am ha'aretz, take demai from the marketplace from an am ha'aretz, the havinami patur midoraisa, that also is exempt on a doraisa level, and that way you'll be able to separate al hapotter doraisa on this also, which is potter on a doraisa level. So that was the suggestion that was made by Rabbi Tarfon. And the Gemara continues and explains the reasoning. Kasavar, he holds the oraisa beruba bottle, that on a doraisa level, really it's nullified in the majority. Verov amei haaretz ma'asrim him, and the majority of amei haaretz, they take off meiser, and so therefore it's all a situation of an obligation only on a derabanan level. V'havale ketorah min haptor al haptor, and therefore it's like taking off, it's like separating from that which is exempt on that which is exempt. But the Gemara continues and asks, V'leimole, but why not say to him the following advice, Lech kach min ha'ovid kochavim, go and buy produce from an ovid kochavim, from an idolater, and that will be something that is only chayev on a derabanan level. And the Gemara says to that, Kosavar, that's because he holds Ein Kinyan L'Ovid Kochavim Be'eretz Yisrael. And Ovid Kochavim does not have a Kinyan, doesn't have ownership of the land of Eretz Yisrael, L'Hafkia Miyad Meiser, to undo the obligation of Meiser, and so there still is an obligation on a Doraisa level. V'Havalei Min Hachiv Al Aptor, and then that would not be a solution, because one would then be separating from that which is obligated on that which is exempt. And Rashi explains, V'leima kachmin ovid kochavim, why not say buy from an ovid kochavim to pater midoraisa? There is an exemption on a doraisa level, v'chayev midrabanan, and it's chayev on a drabanan level. And again, the Gemara said to that there's no kinyan lovid kochavim, be'eretz Yisrael lahafkia miyad meiser, and that's why that was not a good solution. And the Gemara continues, Ika di'amri, there are those that say a different version of the above Gemara. Amar lei, that it was reversed. Amar lei said to him, Lech kachmin ovid kochavim. The advice he gave him was go and buy from an ovid kochavim, from an idolater. And according to this version, Kasavar, he held, Yesh kinyan lovid kochavim be'eretz Yisrael afkia miyad meiser. There is ownership to an ovid kochavim in Eretz Yisrael to undo the obligation of meiser. V'havalei min haptor al haptor, and therefore it's taking from that which is exempt on a doraisa level on that which is exempt on a doraisa level, and that's why it was a good solution. And in this version, V'lei malei, why not say to him, why not give the advice, Kach me hashuk, that buy from the marketplace, again, as we said above, buy it from an am ha'aretz. And the Gemara said to that, Kasavar, that's because he holds Ein Rov Amei Aretz Ma'asrin, that the majority of Amei Aretz do not take off Meiser, and therefore there's an obligation on a Doraisa level to separate, and that's why that is not a good solution. And Rashi explains, Ein Rov Amei Aretz Ma'asrin Ela Misafkinon Behu Mechza Al Mechza. It's like 50-50 doubt whether they took off. Hilkach Ikol Amemar Hamu'urav Nisaser V'Zelo Nisaser, therefore it's possible what was mixed, there was Meiser taken and this not. Inami Ivcha, or the reverse, Kach Shamati, this is what I heard. heard. And Rashi continues and notes, V'kashali, it's difficult to me. Im kain kishalochem ino ovid kochavim nami shema amoret zeh shemochar peros halolu. If so, when the person is purchasing from the ovid kochavim, maybe this amoretz who sold the fruit, lo isran, maybe there wasn't meiser taken off. V'havalei min p'tor al achiv, and then it could be the opposite. You're taking off from something which is exempt on something which is liable, which is chayiv. And so Rashi continues and gives an alternate explanation of the Gemara. V'nira be'enai, it appears to me, shahatevel hazet tevel gomer hoya. The tevel over here that got mixed up was actually pure tevel. It was not demai. V'keven shenesare b'chulin, but when it got mixed up in the chulin, bottle, it actually is nullified to midoraisa chad betray bottle, because on a doraisa level, as the Gemara mentioned, 1 and 2, 1 in a majority is going to be nullified. V'havalei potter midoraisa, and therefore on a doraisa level it was exempt. V'rabbanan hu da'ach morbei, and the rabbanan are being strict. V'yamar, and they say tevel aser b'mashu, that tevel, even the smallest amount, creates an isser. V'hitzrichu l'hafresh of truma, and therefore they made a requirement to separate truma. Umiu, but nevertheless, mineu ve'lo, from the mixture that's not allowed to separate. The chulin misukanin nifteru lagamri, because the chulin which were already fixed, they're totally exempt. V'afilu chiyuva d'rabbanan leka, and there's not even a chiyuv on the rabbanan level. V'yamar leitzei v'kach min hashuk v'iser olav lefi cheshben tevel shabo. And then the advice he said to him was, go buy from the marketplace and again take off meiser according to the proper proportion of tevel that's within it. Kasavar rov ameyaretz ma'asranein. That's because he holds that most ameyaretz do take off meiser. V'havelei potter midoraisa v'chai midrabanan. So it's identical. It's exempt oraisa and chai midrabanan kihai, just like this. And then the Gemara said, "V'neima lekach min ovid kochavim de potter nami midoraisa." Why not say them buy from an ovid kochavim? It's also exempt midoraisa. Because initially we think yesh ken ovid kochavim lafkia, that the ovid kochavim's ownership does take away the chiyuv on a doraisa level. V'chayiv midrabanan kasavar ein kenyan ovid kochavim on a drabanan level. We say ein kenyan, and therefore there's an obligation on a drabanan level. And then the Gemara says ika diamri. There are those that have a different version. Kasavar ein ame haaretz ma'asrin, that he held that most Amei Haaretz are not taking off Meiser. V'shema zeh shemachru lo iser, and maybe this person who sold it didn't take off Meiser. V'havelei chayv midoraisa, and therefore it's obligated doraisa. V'tevel ha'me'urav ba pater midoraisa, and the tevel that's mixed in is pater midoraisa. But again, within all of these versions, the basic point is that the solution has to be that whatever is being purchased is the same as what got mixed up within the chulin. And the Gemara continues, Shalach le Rav Yemer bar Shalmi or Rav Papa. Rav Yemer bar Shalmi sent to Rav Papa the following: Hada Amar Ravin bar Chinina Amar Ula Amar Rabbi Chanina. That which Ravin bar Chinina said, that Ula said, that Rabbi Chanina said, that we quoted above on the previous Amud, that halacha Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri. V'lo, and not only that, ala kol makom shashana Rabbi Shimon Shazuri halacha kamoso. Anytime Rabbi Shimon Shazuri teaches something, the halacha is like him. Af bin isarev le tevel b'chulin. Is it even in this brisa that we just quoted above, the case where the tevel gets mixed up in chulin? Amar le said to him, in yes, the halacha is like him, even in this case. Amar Ravashi said, Amar li Mar Zutra, that Mar Zutra said to me, Kashi bar Rabbi Chanina misura. Rabbi Chanina from Surah found this difficult. Pshita, that's obvious. Of course, we said that any time Rabbi Shimon Shazuri said a halacha, the halacha is like him. So why does this need to be stated? Why would we think that this is not also included within that? And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Aleph Amid Beis.